Okay, today we're going to do some game analysis in our video. I faced here the Jobava London, so it started with knight f6, bishop f4, and here in one of the videos I could recommend that you could play with e6 and c5. But here white also can decide to change into the Jobava London, in which case I think d5 is probably the best and most principled move, stopping e4. And after d5, white really has, like I said in the video against the Jobava London, white has one move to jump with the knight to b5 if he wants to, in which case I would recommend going knight a6, after e3 I will give a sample line, go bishop e7, just keep calm and keep developing. There is an interesting line also with giving a check on b4 and then dropping back to a5 to cover the pawn on c7, but I recommend just to develop the bishop to e7 and let's say play would continue something like this. And now you chase away the knight with tempo, you break in the center with c5. If white decides to take out the knight, it's not so good, since you now have the bishop pair and a lot of space here on the queen side. So this is the area you want to attack, you want to play in. And these isolated pawns aren't that easy to attack for white at the moment. So castle, and here knight h5, attacking this bishop like we usually do. And after, let's say something like knight a5, knight here takes, queen c7, let's say rook e1. This is useful undermining one supporter of this knight. You could go f6 at a certain moment, but it's not as necessary. This pawn might become a bit weak. Of course, at the moment this bishop still covers it, but I think there's probably better prospects for this bishop than to keep covering the pawn all the time. After, let's say, queen takes e4, rook b8, rook b1. You have a lot of space here on the queen side. Some weaknesses, but you also have the bishop pair in a position which is pretty open. Let's see what Stockfish actually suggests here. So bishop c5, let's say queen d2, and then you can bring the rooks. Let's make just a move h3. Okay, so he can actually push d4. Probably one of the points of rook d8 to bring extra support to his pawn. After knight d3, drop the bishop back. This is also interesting. Maybe the engine wants to free and chatter with. It's an idea. So after covering the pawn here, d4. Yeah, you can see that you have pretty good diagonals for your bishop, open lines for your rook. So these pawns are not so weak, so this should be a pretty nice position for you. Obviously white doesn't have to take bishop takes a6, but here most people actually did. And after d takes c5, you can take back with the knight, immediately attack this bishop, white castles, and I think you can actually take out the out bishop here. I'm not sure why the engine doesn't really like it. Probably, okay, he wants to take back with the c pawn and get better central control. Yeah, it's okay also. So that's it for the line with knight b5. So you just jump knight a6 and after e3. This is a possibility, but I wouldn't recommend it. I would recommend you just to go bishop e7 and chase away the knight, break in the center, and play then on the queen side. If bishop a6, like you've seen, you have good play. You have to take some care of these weaknesses, but they're not so easy to attack by the white pieces. And once you can exchange off this dark threat bishop with the knight h5 jump, you're just in really good shape. So in the game, my opponent actually played e2, e3, which allows us to go in the line I showed you in the other video with bishop d7. With the point being that after knight to b5 now, we just exchange the bishop, and with this pawn structure and no bad bishop on c8, since we traded it, we won't have any problems really. And next thing we want to do is after this bishop moves is play bishop d6, try to exchange off this bishop also. So here after bishop d7, knight f3, this was the only opportunity white had to play knight b5, but now we stop it with a6. And our point is again to play a6, controlling this square, so we are able to play c5 later without any checks here on b5 or without any knight jumps here. So bishop d3, c5, and here my opponent makes a mistake with bishop e5. Let's quickly see the engine line. So castles, takes, bishop e7. So that was quite alright. So here I played knight c6, and after bishop takes f6, obviously queen takes f6. White should have taken here, but instead he played h3, and here not sure. I think what happened is I'm just not used to white leaving this pawn here so vulnerable. Here's attacked 3 times and defended 2 times. So here, in fact, I could just have won the pawn outright. With knight takes e4, this is a perfect position for us. I also noticed that with the pawn on a6, there is no knight b5, and no bishop on d7, there is no bishop b5 tactic winning this queen. So I missed that in the game, and after h3 played c4. After bishop e2, it's not so bad, since now I can show you another idea to play c4, and once this bishop moves to initiate the pawn storm on the queen side. You have to be careful with that, because there are 2 things white can try. First, he can try to open the position playing e4. Second, he can leave it closed, and if he already has a lot of the pieces on the king side and you castled king side, then he might get an attack here, and with the pawn chain closed, it would be really hard to stop it. But here our king is still in the center, not castled. White is also not castled, and these pieces here and this rather passive bishop on e2 are queen on d1, they're hardly able to mount an attack. So queen d2, b4, and here I missed another tactic, so knight takes d4, taking advantage of the fact that this knight is hanging. And after queen d8, white plays castles. a5 looks like queen f5 was better. After knight c5, I took out the knight, and now my plan is really simple to, if I can, comfortably get this pawn back. So queen e7, and white has a hard time getting a piece to defend it. So this was looks like this was the best try to create some pressure here on this file for white, and open with e4 like I said before. That's always an idea, but white failed to see it. So here after queen takes c5, takes b3. So here I can create a protected passed pawn. Also, it's just 2 squares from promotion, so it's really dangerous. So here castles, knight here, and here I noticed this weak pawn here. It would be nice if we could win it, that's why rook a3. Knight attacks the queen and the pawn, which is why I played queen h7. Right now the knight is still protecting the pawn, so that's why white plays knight f4. His plan is probably to remove a defender of b4, also making use perhaps of the pin on this bishop. After rook a8, bishop here, I took on a2. And after all these exchanges, you see now the knight is actually pinned. And here I had a better tactic. I played here knight e5, which is a blunder. Here was better to attack the knight here. White has this try, but after king f7, the knight still has to move, or sorry, the knight doesn't have to move, but let's say king h2, king e7. At some point white will have to do something with the knight. This is impossible, and after, let's say, rook e8, you see white has to babysit the pawn on c2. Instead I played here knight to e5, with the point that this is attacked. Only problem is I missed that after knight b4 my rook is also attacked. So here first I have to bring my rook into safety, and this is still good for black, but here I lost a lot of my advantage. So better here was rook e2, and even probably that's also why the immediate rook capture wasn't good. So here I had a nice trick also, again because of this discovered attack on the bishop. Now after c takes, bishop takes, I can collect all the pawns now, and this is just over for white. So now let's go back to the actual game. White made a blunder also. I'm not sure, I think maybe we were both in a bit of time trouble. After knight takes, bishop here, attacking my knight. just jump out of the way. And after this, I took out the pawn. One thing I have to be careful of, let's say if I move my rook, that there are no back rank mate IDs. And after e4, so that's the plan by white, I think. So for example, this would be a blunder because of rook here, but instead c2, and after rook here, queen here. Well, this is just queen c5 wasn't the best. Could have played queen f5, forcing white to defend. Obviously he can't play this since that's made in 2. And if rook g3, then this knight will probably pick up the rook. Has to go to f1. I think that's the only square to cover the e2. And now the bishop doesn't have any good squares, since after bishop d3 there's I think even, oh yeah, there's this mate. So that was maybe not the most accurate game, but a nice it was nice to show my previous idea of playing against the Jobava London. So you see the first couple of moves are very logical. Both sides made some mistakes, but if you look here at the graph, then you can see that white at no point in the game had any advantage. So here the highest advantage white had was plus 0.5, and after that, after this mistake, it was just downhill for black. Here I allowed him to come back with c4 instead just winning the pawn. But it's not so bad, since it allows me to show another idea of the pawn storm on the queen side. Also notice here there were several times I had a discovered attack using the fact that this bishop is sitting behind the knight. And here we collected the pawn, created passed pawn, fixed white's weaknesses, and well, we could have been a bit more accurate, with this probably being the worst mistake, since it gave back well, it allowed whites to come back into the game. If we had just played here knight b4 attacking the rook, he didn't do that, so now we were able to convert our advantage, and the only thing we had to be worried about is not to take this pawn to prevent the back rank mate. And the simplest way was just to create a threat of our own with promotion. Obviously white has to react to that in some way, and after we queen, it's just all over. There's nothing more for white to do. So I hope you enjoyed this game analysis featuring the bishop d7 line against the Jobava London. If you liked it, please like, subscribe, or leave a comment, and hopefully I will see you in one of the next videos.